everyone, it is Jazz here. I'm coming at you with another round of 5 book reviews. So I thought I would change up the format a little bit from now on, solely because I think this will work a little bit better since these videos tend to be on the longer side. So what I'm going to do right up at the front of the video is tell you what 5 books I'm going to be reviewing today, and then like last time I will put the timestamps for each book below so that you can check out the whole video if you want to. I'd really like it if you did, but if you just want to check out the review of a certain book or certain books, you can do that as well. Today I will be reviewing The Shining by Stephen King, As You Wish by Cary Elwes, Viva, Durrant, and The Secret of the Silver Buttons by Ashli St. Armant, Piper by J. Asher and Jessica Freeburg, and Odd and the Frost Giants by Neil Gaiman. Let's start off with The Shining. This book is, first of all, centered around a 5-year-old boy named Danny who has the gift of the Shine, which is basically psychic ability, and his father, Jack, and his mother are kind of trying to repair their marriage because Jack is a very much recovering and still recovering alcoholic who has burned all his bridges, but he gets a job to become the caretaker for the Overlook Hotel, and basically the whole family is going to be wintering in the hotel when the hotel is shut down, so they are going to be snowed in the mountains, and it just turns out that the Overlook happens to be haunted, and when you have a psychic child and an addiction going on, it's not a mixy thing, so insanity happens. The Shining was a reread for me. I'd read it before in my teen years, but I wanted to get around to reading the sequel, Dr. Sleep, and so I thought it would be fun just to revisit this book and see what I thought of it as an adult, because a lot of books that you read as a teen just seem different as an adult. But I'm happy to say that I enjoyed it even more upon a reread. I find that when I reread Stephen King books as an adult, I definitely understand like the life of an adult a little bit more, and I also understand the life of a child a little bit more. So I feel like I always get new insight into his books because they are such character-driven books, and also books that have such well-developed characters, and I really enjoyed getting extra insight about these characters and the psychology of what they were going through. The thing that I love about this book is the thing that I think a lot of people might have trouble with if they're coming off of the film or coming to it from the perspective of expecting it to be like this faster paced horror sort of thing. It's not really that. It's very much a psychological thriller, even more than it is a haunting sort of book. So I will say that the pacing in it is kind of slower for that reason, because you do really have to get into the minds and the psychology of the characters so that you can see how the hotel is playing on those things. I also like that this book is a book that sort of plays with the idea of what is real and what is not. So it allows you to sort of question how much is in these characters' minds and how much of this is an actual haunting and how much of this is Danny having the Shining and amping up the paranormal activity. And I like books that play with the idea of what is real and what is not, because it's just an interesting thing to explore in terms of how we as humans view certain activity or paranormal activity, or how we also view mental illness or addiction and things like that. I will say that this book is not an uplifting book in any way, shape, or form. So you're definitely going through the terror and the drama with all the characters, and sometimes it took me a moment to want to live there, if you know what I mean, which is why I read it very slowly. But I do think that if you are somebody that can read multiple books it's a good time to read this and read something lighter to kind of balance out the feels, if you will. So that is just my personal recommendation in terms of this. But it has to be dark because stuff's going on. You know what I mean? Really glad, too, that I reread this after I'd read Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House. This book is strongly influenced by The Haunting of Hill House, and I really loved seeing all the references in this book and really catching all those things. Granted, I've noticed that Stephen King references The Haunting of Hill House in a lot of his books. I guess Shirley Jackson is one of his influences, and I've been really noticing it specifically when I reread some of his books. So it's fun to just kind of have the end note on what his references are on this. I love this even more than I loved it the first time, so I gave this book 5 stars. Next up, As You Wish, Inconceivable Tales from the Making of The Princess Bride. So this is basically the actor Cary Elwes, who plays Wesley in the film The Princess Bride, recounting just his experience getting into that film and making that film. Also, it includes these little gray sections here that are inserts written by the director Rob Reiner, as well as many other cast members about their experience. So you're really getting the full just experience of what the making of the film was like. I listened to this in audiobook, and I really enjoyed the audiobook. It is, of course, narrated by Cary Elwes, and he does these really great impersonations of other actors or the director or other people involved with the film when he's doing his narration section, which I really thought was a super, super kick. And then also it does have guest narration by other people that are involved with the film, just like the book does. I did notice, though, because I would sometimes read along while I was listening to the audiobook, that sometimes there are some differences in terms of the location of some of the additional interviews, or there will be certain things added to the audiobook or taken out from the audiobook. It's not really going to affect your experience one way or the other. I think you get the same experience both ways, but if you're concerned about that, I guess you can listen to the audiobook while reading along, like I did. If you're looking for a memoir that has a lot of dirt on things or has some dark moments, I don't think this book is it for you. It is a memoir that is just feel good, really interesting, fun in terms of just learning how good of a time the people that made The Princess Bride were having while making it. Yes, there were some, little minor tribulations, I guess, while trying to make this movie, but none of it, was a bad experience, it seems like, for everyone. It really is just a true making of experience, and it sounds like making this movie was a blast. I still found it really fun to know all this additional information solely because of the way it's presented. It's very humorous and funny. I liked hearing how people just had really interesting takes on their character and things like that. And also just the sort of endearing friendship and camaraderie that came out of this film, and how much love was put into the film in terms of just everybody involved really putting their heart into the piece. And I really just like that. It made me feel good. It made me super happy. So I don't really think there's anything else to really say about this book other than that. I gave this book 5 stars. I love the movie Princess Bride and the book Princess Bride so much, and it was just so fun to read about the people involved and just see that they love the book and the movie just as much as I do. Moving on to Viva Durrant and the Secret of the Silver Buttons. So this is about a young woman who is 14 named Viva Durrant. Her parents decide that before she goes into her first year of high school that she should really learn some independence. So they send her on her own to go and stay with her grandma over the summer in New Orleans. From there, the story follows Viva as she solves the mystery slash treasure hunt, if you will, throughout New Orleans, which is basically her trying to find the silver buttons that are mentioned in the Miss Mary Mack children's rhyme. So I'm pretty sure this book only exists on Audible. It's an Audible original, and I got it for free because, you know, when you have that Audible subscription, they give you an option every month of different audiobooks you can check out. I believe Audible classifies this book as teen, or at least I've seen it in the teen section, but I think it's really better for a younger age than that. I think the ages probably 8 to 12 would enjoy this book the most, just in terms of the way it is written. It's definitely written sort of more like a middle grade book, even though the main character is 14 and is a teenager. It's definitely, in my opinion, was more of a middle grade writing style. But I like that stuff. So if you're an adult or a teen and you still like that stuff, definitely go for it and give this audiobook a try. This one was just a simple, quick, easy read, and I think if you're looking for that kind of thing in terms of audiobook, or you want something fun for your kids to listen to, this one fits the bill in terms of that. I really liked how the author worked in the Miss Mary Mack hand clapping poem, and how it was very much a treasure map, and it was very fun to see how she figured out how to work in the lines of the story into Viva's search. And also, I feel like it was fun to see the character make some little discoveries about her life and things that she could try. I really liked, too, that it worked in music in terms of the story, and jazz music in particular, because she is in New Orleans, and how that really played a part into the story and into the general recording of the story. I feel like it had a lot of not really great choices in terms of its just production by itself. There were occasionally some weird effects put in the voice. I know that they were trying to make it obvious that Viva was thinking things inside her head, but the effect they used wasn't great. I don't mind that there was music in the back of their narration. I think maybe some people might mind that, but that wasn't really a thing that I mind, because whenever you listen to children's or young people intended audiobooks, that's not uncommon to have music in the background of some of the narration. However, sometimes the music might have been too loud. There was a similar problem with some of the singing involved in the book, because obviously, you know, sometimes Viva sings the songs or sings songs to help her remember things, or makes up songs to help her remember things. And it wasn't the singing that bugged me. Singerness was fine. It was the mix, because there was like weird effects on the voice yet again. This book has 2 ratings. In terms of the actual story, I gave this 4-star. Would recommend the story itself. It's very nice. In terms of production, though, I would say like a 3-star. Then we have the graphic novel Piper. This is a retelling of the Pied Piper story. It centers around a young woman named Maggie who is deaf and has kind of been shunned from her town, and her meeting the Pied Piper as these rats come into town, and how that affects her life in particular, with all that goes on with that story, if you know that story. I really enjoyed it. It has a lovely art style, first of all. I really liked how they showed Maggie's daily life with her disability, and how it affected different things for her and how she really figured out different things in her life, as well as how she was treated by the town. I thought that was really interesting. I also just love a retelling in general. I think it was a really smart retelling in terms of how the Piper got his powers and how he was using them throughout the story. Interesting interactions between Maggie and the character that is the Pied Piper were really great. So I don't really have to say anything more. I love this. It was bomb. I like a fairy tale retelling pretty much all the time. I think this one is a really great one if you're looking for a fairy tale retelling that isn't one of like a really popular fairy tale. So I really appreciated that element of it as well. I gave this 5 stars. Lastly, we of course have Odd and the Frost Giants. This is a story that starts out with the fact that winter is just not ending and nobody knows why, and the main character Odd at this time has decided that even though he has a severe limp, he is going to run away from home because his home life is not great. And while he's out in the woods, he meets a bear, a fox, and an eagle. This wacky group of characters decides to go on a journey to save the Norse gods, Asgard, and also the general world, because, you know, that winter ending thing, that's kind of important. This book is one of Neil Gaiman's middle grade geared books. I think it's a really good middle grade book because it's definitely one of those middle grades that I think adults could easily enjoy and get into and find something awesome about it. And it's equally as good for young people as well. I listened to this in audiobook, but I really do want a hard copy of this just so that I can have the art, because I do believe that the hard copy does have some drawings done, and I really would like that element on my shelf to pick up and read. But I still would highly recommend the audiobook. It is read by Neil Gaiman. You can't go wrong with Neil Gaiman reading a book. I mean, sometimes I listen to his audiobooks just to fall asleep because it's like being told a fabulous fairy tale story when you're a kid, but you're grown up, and it just works for me. I really like how the Norse mythology was used in this book, both how it, you know, informs Odd's character growth and the things that he overcomes with his leg injury and things like that, but also how it's very comedically used and how the dialogue is written in such a funny way in terms of the main characters that are involved, such as Thor and Odin and Loki, and how those characters bounce off each other with their weird sense of humor. I would recommend this if you're looking for just a fun journey with a lot of humor and a lot of, you know, growth with a character. And if you're just looking for something fun that's middle grade, check it out. I think any age could enjoy this. I gave this one 5 stars. It's been a 5-star review moment this time. I love that. Those were my thoughts on these 5 books. Let me know in the comments if you also have any thoughts, or just say hello down there. Comments really do help out my channel, so please just say something below, because I like hearing from you. It makes my heart happy. And that is it for today, my fabulous peeps. I will see you all soon. Bye!